Hey, what's up my fur audience? My name is Knight and I'd like to welcome you guys to a new video on the Mark 42 project. Alright, so we're finally going to finish this helmet. So what we're basically going to do for this episode is we're going to do the final finishing touches for the aesthetics of the helmet, as in sanding and painting, so that basically we have everything come together and basically we establish the overall look for the rest of the suit. So while basically I was away, I basically did some progress off camera. I did say that I was going to cut off these sections, as you can tell, and it actually fits me much better. So I did some test fitting and it doesn't like crack as if like it's gonna like blow up. So yeah, so that's taken care of. And also you're gonna tell that there's actually the mechanics in here. So the helmet actually as you can tell. So if you want to check out the specifics for the mechanism of the faceplate, you can go check out the previous helmet video, which I basically explained the mechanism in its model form. And you can also check out the previous short I made, which actually demonstrates the mechanism in its tangible form. So yeah, so all that's left is, as you can tell, there really is no caps on the pivot points here. So I'm going to print out the caps, glue those on. Hopefully it doesn't end up gluing the mechanism together, because that'd be horrible. So I'm going to print out the caps. I'm going to do some sanding. This time I'm not going to do sanding, then primer, then sanding, then primer. I'm just going to sand all the way down as much as I possibly can. And then I'll do some primer so I don't eat up the sandpaper that much. And then I'll basically paint everything in their final colors. And from there, I'll just glue everything together and it should all fit perfectly. Theoretically. So if all goes well, this is going to be epic. So I'm going to get this done and I'll see you later. Alrighty, we're halfway there. Alright, so before we begin, I'm going to admit I got a little impatient, so I just went straight for the spot putty. But I will admit that the spot putty didn't feel as gunky as the filler primer, so I'd say in my opinion that the sandpaper actually lasted quite a bit longer. So yeah, so basically what I did was I took 150 grit and I just went crazy with all the plastic. I just went all over it. I tried to smooth out as much plastic as possible. And then from there, I jumped over the 320 grit. Don't ask me why. I forgot I had 220. So yeah, for some strange reason, I jumped over the 320 grit and I just went ham. And somehow it still ended up pretty good. I probably would have gotten this done faster if I used the 220, but who knows? I'm just happy I got the stupid sanding done. So yeah, after the 320, I went ahead and basically filled this entire gap right here, because I'm pretty sure you remember that when I stuck this all together there was this gigantic gap where the back part was a bit lower than the height than the front part, so there was just like this like tectonic plate effect going on here. So I had to use wood filler to kind of fill this in here, and on top of that I used spot putty, and I just sanded it down with the 320 until it looked pretty good. It's still kind of iffy right now, but I'm just gonna go over it a little bit with the 2000 grit. Not sure how that's gonna go, but hopefully I don't go insane. But yeah, so there's still a bunch of minor detail issues, like a couple of print lines are kind of shown through here and there, but it's nothing major. Pretty sure the filler primer is already taking care of it. My only concern now is that the filler primer is probably gonna gunk up the 2000 grit paper, but this is basically the final process. So here and there I'm going to put in some spot putty and just kind of fill them with the 2000 grit, and I'll alternate between 320 and 2000 grit, and then I'll wet sand with the 2000 grit, and then from there we can start painting. So for the paints I got these three. We're going to be using the exact same gold, however I got myself a new red. So I got myself a new red, this one's the Toyota Maroon 3J2 or something like that. But this should be a better alternative to the other red that I had, which had like a pinkish tone to it, which was a little funky. You can tell that it's not that bad. Obviously this is not a very good representation, but hopefully the same thing doesn't happen when I put it on. And then for the clear coat, this will only be for the red. We're gonna be using clear satin. So I see a bunch of cosplayers that use like a super like shiny clear coat or whatever, and I mean, it looks nice and all, but it's not that screen accurate. Like when you see the armors on the big screen, you're gonna see that it's not that shiny. It's fairly shiny, but not that shiny. So I'm gonna be using clear satin, and that's gonna be a pretty good in between for the red shininess. And for the gold, there will be no clear coat. I know. What's life without a little danger? So yeah, so this is not going to be taking a clear coat because no matter what clear coat I've used a matte clear coat. I will not dare go to the shiny clear coat because that just makes the metallic portion look like a toy. I have not been able to find a clear coat that gives the metallic paints justice. So as long as I don't find a substitute for the metallic portions, I'm going to have to stick with a paint with no clear coat. And yeah, that's basically the grim reality of this. And last but not least, for the silver parts, I'm going to be using Alclad Chrome Lacquer. Alclad 2 to be precise. And I'll be clear coating this with the Aqua gloss, which won't do it much harm. I mean, it's supposed to be chrome, and it's usually just like little detail parts, so I don't think the shininess is going to do too much harm. And while this paint actually looks kind of fragile in my opinion, so I want to take care of it a little more than the gold spray paint. And the gold is much more apparent, so I kind of don't want to ruin the gold with a clear coat. But the chrome should fare a little better. And before I forget, I used a gloss black and a gloss clear coat, base coat, for the gold and silver. So the gloss black is basically a Krylon gloss black, and then this is a clear glamour. So yeah, nothing too sophisticated or special. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you remember for the last helmet over there, I didn't use a gloss black because it didn't really show. But I want to try it again, and I want to do some lighter coats on the gold to see how well I can make the gold shine. And then obviously I have to use gloss black for this guy. That's a given. So yeah, if you want these paints, I'm going to try my best to retrace my steps and basically give you the links of where I got these. And well, yep, let's get to painting. Alright, so we are basically done, and oh crap, continuity issues. Here's the helmet in its full glory, and that is beautiful, I tell you what. So yeah, so basically this helmet is 90% on point. I got the paint colors correct this time, so the paint looks beautiful. The eyes are a lot brighter, so it gives it a much more accurate look to it. It also has a mechanism, so that's a definite plus. Now I will say that these lights are actually a little more temporary than you would think. And if you want to know how I put these lights on, it's pretty simple. So all I did was I basically cut out 2 pieces of the milk carton. It's basically this thing. I just cut 2 pieces out to line the eyes. And I basically stacked them up on top of each other, so you get this really nice white look in the eyes. And then behind that, I got a set of 10 Christmas lights, basically 5 LEDs lining the inside of each eye. And I basically hot glue them just above the opening. It's basically so the bulbs are not visible on the outside. And I lined the entire visor with aluminum foil to better reflect the light. And this is just hanging out temporarily. I'll think about where to put that. So yeah, in comparison to the old one, this helmet is definitely a step up. For starters, the red had a weird pinkish hue to it, and the gold was a bit dulled due to the moisture from outside, because like I left the faceplate outside for a bit too long, and it was a winter night. And like a lot of the parts were glued too early, so that basically leads into the fact that a bunch of print lines were left behind, especially on the glued parts like the cheek areas, because I couldn't really reach into those areas with the sandpaper. And the silver was not painted, so I never bothered with that one for some reason. I guess because it was basically just a prototype. However, I do have some critiques for this helmet. It's not perfect, I know, big surprise. So for starters, I wasn't really able to hide this seam, which is basically where the two parts were printed. And the seam was just way too huge, and no matter how much stuff I filled it with, I just couldn't hide it. It was way too apparent. And well, as cool as the mechanical design is, it's a bit faulty. This portion right here, these two kind of crash into each other, so I have to literally lift it out before I can actually use it, and that's probably gonna create a bit of a problem for the servo. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much strain, or else I'm gonna have to grind down something in there. And well, my solutions for these problems are I'm just gonna print the helmet in one piece, except for the jawline. That's gonna be separated, but this entire portion I'm gonna try and print it in one piece for the next helmet, and I'll have to review the mechanical design at a later date to try and make sure that parts don't crash into each other. But the good thing about this helmet is, if you remember, the joints are actually held in by magnets. So the faceplate does have some free real estate to be able to move slightly out of the way so they can move up. Now, one thing about this helmet is I never installed the joint caps, and it's actually these. It's so hard to see. And to be honest, I never installed them because I just didn't want to glue the entire mechanics together. So the joints actually come loose a lot less than you think, so I'm going to trust that the servo won't wiggle them loose, and I'm going to design it in a way where the servo line is going to pull it inward toward the wall so that it doesn't like come loose and all that stuff. And if you also notice, this thing is not properly installed. And I never actually painted or did anything with this. Reason being, I'm actually going to make a different design for this that's going to accommodate something really cool we're going to do in another episode regarding this helmet, so we're not done with this helmet yet. So yeah, for the next episode, we're going to start doing the mechanics, the servo, organizing the wires, all that junk. And well, yeah, so that's the plan for the future. Oh, will you look at that? It's vacant. There she goes. Would you look at that? Ain't she a beaut? If you have liked this video, go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. Do whatever you need to do. Go ahead and hit that bell notification so you get notified every time I post a new video. And well, yeah, so that's going to be it for me. And I'm a dip.